Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Acer Swift 3 SF314-57-57BN. So that's a mouthful to say. We're just going to call it the Swift 3. But there are various Swift 3 models, okay? There were two that were just announced at CES last month. That was a new 13.5-inch Intel model and a new 14-inch AMD model. This is not that. This is actually one that was announced at IFA back in August and shipped in December. So you might have noticed I haven't been posting videos in a while. That's just because I haven't had anything to review in a few weeks, which is kind of nice because it gives me a little bit of relaxing time. I actually get weekends off for a couple weeks. But it's also boring. But there's always like this lull in January-ish. Usually it's just a few days, but I guess I cranked out the reviews I had earlier than I usually do, and I actually end up with a couple weeks. So anyway, this is the Acer Swift 3. Now, I reviewed last year's Acer Swift 3, or early last year's. That thing had Whiskey Lake processors. I had some issues with it. One was that you couldn't charge over the USB-C port, and there's a couple other things that we'll get into. This one you should be able to charge because it actually has Thunderbolt 3. It still has a USB 2.0 port, which is, but what's really cool is that it's $699, right? $699, and it weighs in at 2.68 pounds, and it's 0.63 inches thick. So it's pretty light, especially considering the price, and it comes with a Core i5-1035G1 processor, which is from the Intel Ice Lake family. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to review this is actually because I've not reviewed the Core i5-1035G1. It's weird because usually in generations of Intel processors, there's like two variants of the Core i5 U series. U series is the 15 watt. It's what's in most laptops. Now, there was obviously 4 with 8th gen because there were 2 generations of U series 8th gen processors, Kaby Lake R and Whiskey Lake. But usually there's one. There's a regular one, and then there's another one, the V Pro one. There's 4 right now for 10th gen. There's 3 from Ice Lake, which is the Core i5-1035G1, G4, and G7. And then there's the Comet Lake one, which is the standard U series 14 nanometer one. Ice Lake is 10 nanometers. And the thing about Ice Lake is that Intel actually had to turn down the clock speed a little bit to get to 10 nanometers. Now, that's fine. What they made up for it with Iris Plus graphics, and that's where G4 and G7 comes in. The G number is the graphics power. Now, sure, the issue here is that G1 is not Iris Plus. It has standard UHD graphics, and it is what it is, right? So I'm very interested to try it out, is what I'm getting at. So let's start getting this thing open. There just hasn't been so many versions of the Core i5 U series before, so it's really interesting. Oh, so there's more tape on here. Obviously, this unit has been reviewed before. It's this box has been taped up several times, which is very standard for review units. So let's get this open. We got a return label in here, which I'm going to remember not to lose. I often lose return labels, and then I ask them to send me new ones. So this is a pin charger, which I don't like. I'm not a big fan of pin chargers to begin with. It is 65 watts, which is nice. I believe it came with a 45 watt charger on the last one. And yes, that was pin charger too, because one of the issues with the last one, like I said, was that you couldn't charge over USB Type-C. Now, I am going to put this in here because I assume I won't need it, because you should be able to charge on the USB-C port with this one. Hopefully, right? There's a bit of paperwork in there as well. All right. And then let's get to the device. Oh, this is much nicer than the one that I had last time around. I gotta say, it really is. You can tell it feels thinner. It feels lighter. 2.68 pounds is nice. If you're not very familiar with thin and light laptops, 2.68 pounds would definitely be considered light. I'd say anything over 3 pounds is light. Anything over 2.75 pounds is pretty light. Under 2.5 pounds is just kind of crazy light. In fact, I just double checked, and that last one was 2.87 pounds. So they slimmed it down. They made it lighter. This is made of a magnesium alloy, which is not surprising for something that's so light. And we can just open it up. There's a couple issues. Like one, there's some bloatware. Any Acer product comes with a ton of bloatware, man. It's weird. I've seen this in various products, including business products, where just looking at it, I could see that they're like right in the taskbar. There's Firefox, Dropbox, and Amazon, which is a bit much. And then there's Acer Collection S, Acer Product Registration, Booking.com. What else? Hearts Deluxe. Power Director for Acer, Simple Mahjong, Simple Solitaire, Smart Audio 3, Spades. No Wild Tangent Games, which I believe was here on previous Acer units, and it's not good. It's all Acer PCs, no matter how much money you spend, are gonna come with that kind of stuff. It's super weird. And we can take a closer look here. The thing about bloatware, like I said, it's super weird. And the reason that it's super weird is just because no one does this anymore. This used to be a big thing on PCs. It almost used to be there's ExpressVPN's another one. Almost used to be a value proposition. Back in like the really old days, where like your computer might come with, I don't know, AOL and stuff like that. And it's also a way to make up, to offset the pricing for the manufacturer, to make a couple extra dollars on the PC sale. But no one does it anymore because it's generally accepted as bad practice. And it's just weird to see. And obviously the first thing I'm going to do is start going through and I could start with Norton right now because, nobody wants this stuff. It's actually I shouldn't do it because I'm going to have to reset this thing. But if you want to take a quick look through everything that's installed on here, obviously a lot of it is normal Microsoft stuff. But it is way too much. But, obviously easy enough to get rid of it. You can even install a signature image. Microsoft makes Windows 10 available to download for anybody. And you could just install that if you want. Just make sure you have at least a Wi-Fi driver backup. You could download drivers from Acer's website. Make sure you have at least Wi-Fi. And the rest of them you can at least download through the PC. But if it can't connect to the internet, you're going to be kind of stuck. I do have it plugged in to the Thunderbolt 3 port. And just to make sure that it does indeed charge through USB Type-C, and it does, which is great news. Full HD display, 14 inches. You can see it has very narrow bezels, which is actually quite impressive for a device at $699. No touchscreen, which I think is fine because it is a clamshell. This is as far as it... Oh, it goes 180. I almost said this is as far as it goes, but it does go to 180 degrees, which is pretty nice. I like the display. It's a matte display. Acer calls it like Comfy View, which I think is a fantastic name for a display technology. Comfy View, great. No IR camera on top. It's a little bit too much to ask for because anything that has top bezels this small, right? There are very few. Usually, especially like at this price point, it's very impressive. Dell does it with the XPS 13. They finally managed to move the webcam to the top. They shrunk it down, but they killed the IR camera because that took a lot more engineering to shrink that down. And so HP did it now, and now Dell's doing it with the next generation XPS 13. But again, these are PCs that cost well over $1,000. So I think it's very, very, very impressive that Acer has these narrow bezels, and the webcam on top, by the way, with a $699 PC. Like, very cool stuff. Take a look at the ports on the side. Over here we have an HDMI port, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A. We have that power port that I was talking about that I am never going to use. Since it charges through USB Type-C, I am always going to use USB Type-C for charging. And that is a Thunderbolt 3 port. That's new. The last one, the one that I reviewed from last year, that was USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-C. Bad news coming up on this side. I would rather, well, anyway, we do have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack over here. And then we have a USB 2.0 Type A port. Honestly, I'd rather just have one USB Type A port. I don't believe USB 2.0 should exist at all, especially when you've got a USB 3.0 port, which, you know, obviously 3.1 Gen 1 and 3.0 are the same thing. But yeah, I'd rather just have the one USB Type A port. I mean, I guess it's useful for some people. You know, you might have something where you need to plug in for the high speed over here, and then maybe a mouse dongle on this side. That type of thing makes sense, but I think you're putting a little too much work on the user, expecting them to know the difference between those two USB Type A ports. The easy way to tell, obviously, is you have the blue indicator for USB 3.0, and that's that. All right, backlit keyboard. It has just about everything you need. Like I said, there's a fingerprint sensor to the right here. That's nice because there is no IR camera, so fingerprint sensor is the only Windows Hello that you're gonna get. Acer's promising up to 10 hours of battery life, so we're going to test that out. I do think it's cool if there's an HDMI port, because I have something coming up where I might need HDMI. But yeah, I love the matte screen because it looks nice. A lot of matte screens don't look nice, to be honest. And so this one does. Hopefully it continues to. Obviously I haven't used it a whole lot. I like the hinge here. I like the Swift branding on the hinge. I think it looks quite nice. You know, on what looks probably pretty average from the outside. It's although, to be fair, most magnesium laptops do tend to look kind of average from the outside. And speaking of that magnesium build, the one that I got last year was made of aluminum. And big difference between magnesium and aluminum. Aluminum is heavier. It's probably the heaviest material that you're going to find on laptops today. Magnesium is very light. That's why you'll find most thin and light laptops are going, or at least light laptops. It's one way to be super light without having to make sacrifices. Like you go super thin, you got to get rid of that HDMI port. A lot of them get rid of that USB Type A port, stuff like that. However, magnesium tends to feel a lot more plasticky, but it does make it super easy to carry around, right? This is something that you can easily throw in a bag, and it's one of those where, you know, it kind of feels like there's nothing there at all. It's pleasant, you know. But I don't know why so many manufacturers, their magnesium alloy, it's always this kind of grayish color. You know, I'd love to see someone just paint it red or something. You know, something really nice like that. And like it's out there, but it's not super common. But yeah, I gotta say for $699, there's a lot of value here. 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, which is also super impressive at $699. This is a very nice PC. And those super narrow bezels, it gives it like an 84% screen to body ratio. Really impressive stuff. Like, this is something that's actually usable. And you know, a lot of people ask me what PC they should buy, and obviously there's these, like, the first answer is like, well, how much are you willing to spend? And obviously, like, almost everybody goes like, I don't know, like I want to, what's a good one I could get for $200? Like it doesn't exist, you know. And I kind of push them up to over $500, and like this is something that it feels like something that I'd actually be able to recommend for people that aren't willing to hit that premium price point, you know. So cool. I'm gonna have a review on this in a week or two. Like I said before, I've got nothing else to review right now, so it's probably going to be next weekend. So stay tuned for that. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.